Woo! It's the boy, Bubba Lutz, coming through. Hella clutch, flawless, can't be touched. It's your boy, Bubba Lutz. Yeah, I need that hot take. I need the truth and everything that is not fake. So tell me who's...
Welcome back, Bubba Bunch, to another edition of the Bubba Lutz Sports Podcast. This is episode 259, and unfortunately, this is the review for the Cowboys versus Saints game. Let's get started. Listen, that was some of the worst football I've ever watched in my life, and there's plenty of times to where I've said that this game is going to be a shit show. I tweeted it before the game, my prediction, shit show, and that the Saints would win. Do I even want to be right at this point? Because it seems like every time I'm right, it's always the bad things that happen to this Cowboys team. Okay? There are so many things wrong with this offense right now. There are so many things wrong, or that could go wrong for this defense, that are shadowed, that are hidden, because they play the worst teams possible. Think about it just for 1 second before we get into any of this information about the analysis, anything about this game. I want you to know that the Saints are already without their franchise quarterback, my bad. Their starting quarterback. They chose a guy that barely plays quarterback and does everything else for them, which I thought was the right call. They chose him and had 4 good fingers on his throwing hand for pretty much this entire game. They were already without their star running back, one of the best players in all the NFL. So that, by the way, go check out that injury curse video of the Cowboys, because guess what? Over the last 2 weeks, it's been the same thing. The trend continues. No starting tackles in this game. No Michael Thomas. They barely have receivers. And their defense is really the only thing that has made them stay afloat this year. But in no way, shape, or form should this defense be holding down this offense this well. But I don't even think it was the defense that did most of the work here. I think it was just the absolute dismantling from within of this offense. And it all just felt like I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how bad this offense looks. There are so many factors to this, and we'll get into them. But in no way should the Saints, with all of these issues, all of these injuries, and the season that they've had, I know the Cowboys have had their issues. I know they've had the COVID issues, the injuries. But you have everybody on your offensive line that you could have asked for. You have both starting tackles that you can, like, that are all pro worthy. You have Zach Martin. You have Connor McGovern. And you have Tyler Biadasz. That is everybody that you could have asked for on this offensive line. You've had Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup on the field. You also have Dalton Schultz on the field. You have Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard on the field. You have Kellen Moore on the sideline. There is no reason for you to be outplayed and outmaneuvered to the point to where the Saints are moving the ball better than you are on offense. I get it, and all of you are just going to go on one saying after this game and say, oh, well, they won the game. I think we're past the point now in the season, in the Cowboys season specifically. This goes for every team, but especially for the Cowboys. This now has to feel like it's not about winning games. We know they can win games. It's how you win the games. Are you going to win them in the Cowboys fashion of you're going to give them every opportunity to stay in that football game, and you're either going to ruin it You're either going to fail or you're going to hold on. I don't want either. I want a game to where you are the better team. You are clearly in a better position to win this football game, so win the football game decisively. They did not win this game decisively. This was some of the worst football in 3 hours. That was the longest 3 hours of my life. And I was ready to check out at halftime. I did not want to watch this game after halftime. I don't know how I went past the third quarter. But even with 4 minutes left in the game, Dak throwing that interception, I'm like, you know what? Just let it happen at this point. Just let everything happen so I can just say I was there to witness it. I was there to witness the wackiest game of the season. Because that's really how it felt like. And there's something in my eye, but Jesus Christ. But you know what's not in my eye? The urge to run the football down the middle. Every single down. Oh my God. Where do I even start with this game, man? Where do I even start? First of all, let's just talk about the Saints real quick. Saints defense, pretty good. I give credit to the Saints defense because they are holding up. They did everything they could in this game. They really just hung in there. Way to go, champ. The offense, a little bit of fault is on the Saints and Sean Payton. All right. The reason why I believe that the Taysom Hill starting quarterback play was the right move is because the Cowboys do not know how to contain, how to withstand a running quarterback, a guy that can use his feet to the best of his ability, because they don't know how to tackle and they don't know how to stop the run, whether that's with the running back or with the quarterback. If you just run the read option on a Cowboys defense, it automatically gets you a first down. Automatically. I mean, it's without a doubt. You know, it's like 100% of the time, but it's not guaranteed. But 100% of the time it will. For Sean Payton and this offense to say, we just had our quarterback jam their finger at Dorrance Armstrong's arm, I'm glad someone caught that, and to have a splinter on it, or a splint, whatever it's called, for the entirety of this game. First of all, I don't know why your game plan is to throw against the Cowboys. Well, maybe because if you throw a crossing route, dude, at this point, if I ran a crossing route against the Dallas Cowboys, I would be open. Because the amount of man coverage that they run every week, good for them. Like, the confidence by Dan Quinn and this cornerback position to say, we can withstand a wide receiver one-on-one. It doesn't matter. You know, we have the speed. We have the ability to make a play. Good for you, because I haven't been seeing that in Dallas for a very long time. I mean, man coverage is just not a thing with previous Cowboys teams. So the confidence, the swagger to say, you know, we're going to go one-on-one, and then we're just going to rush the passer. That makes sense in my head, but when you can't cover a crossing route, when you get picked by two receivers crossing, and you just leave a man wide open, which you've seen in the Raiders game, which you've seen on the Chiefs game, and in this game early on, dude, something has to change, because if you're having trouble against guys like Zay Jones and McCole Hardman, Harris, Traquan Smith, guys like this, how are you going to handle Devontae Adams? How are you going to handle Antonio Brown as long as he's not suspended? How are you going to handle Cooper Kupp? Because these guys can run crossing routes like it's nothing, and you can't handle Zay Jones. So I'm looking at this defense. I'm saying you have 4 turnovers in this game, but you're also going against a guy that can barely throw the football right now. And I don't know why he's not running it, because every time he's ran it, he has successfully gotten a first down. In that second half, when Sean Payton and Taysom Hill said, we're going to utilize my feet. We're going to utilize the running game. Guess what? They were moving the ball consistently, way better than the Cowboys were. They were taking time off the clock. They were doing these long drives. They just couldn't finish in the red zone. And credit to the Cowboys for doing that. But you're not going to always face a guy that barely plays the position. This isn't going to fly against Aaron Rodgers. This isn't going to fly against Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. This isn't going to fly against Tom Brady. They're not just going to let you off the hook. The Saints let you off the hook because they're a bad football team right now. They don't have anything to show for it on offense. They don't have half of their starters. And you mean to tell me that you were in a one-possession game for the entirety of this game? That's unacceptable. That's just outrageous, humiliating, absurd. Okay? Oh my God. This is so frustrating. This is so frustrating because in the back of my mind, I still want to believe that the Cowboys are going to be fine. They still got a lot of their guys coming back defensively, and they're just going through the motions right now. And every team is going through the motions right now. Every team this year that we're considering a Super Bowl contender has had rough times in 2021. The Patriots, bad start to the season. The Chiefs, bad start to the season. Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers, they lost to the Saints in week 1. And then you have the Bucs, who went on that 2-game losing streak. The Rams are on a 3-game losing streak. The fucking Lions are playing better than them if you're looking at their records. You know, like, they have less losses than the Rams. That's just how it is right now. So I think the Cowboys just fall into this melting pot of the NFL season, and we're just going through the motions. Okay? I don't think they'll get back to that 7-game win streak mode, but what I'm seeing is very concerning. What's very concerning about this football team is that not only do they not look the same as they once did earlier in the season with all the people that are hurt, with all the COVID issues, and the decisions that they're making, but I feel like the attitude and the persona of this team is falling apart. It just doesn't feel the same as it once did. Where was the pissed off Cowboys or the angry Cowboys that were ready to prove everybody wrong? You know, where was the Cowboys team that was wanting to make a statement, that wanted to prove a point around the NFL that they are a different football team this year? I am not seeing that same team. I am seeing a team that is just going through the motions and just letting everything decide it by itself, not taking control and making the best out of every situation, which they were at the beginning of the year. Remember, like, that even before the Bucs game, you know, we had Zach Martin, you know, having his COVID issues. You had the injuries, or what was it? It was so. I mean, even after the Bucs game, you had Lyell's issues, Zach Martin on COVID. You had Anthony Brown just completely lost, and Dak Prescott with the shoulder issue. Was he back, or like did he throw too much, and was the system broken because you threw over 50 times? Like, there were so many concerns after the first few weeks of the season. And yet, through every injury with DeMarcus Lawrence, through every injury of Neville Gallimore, the defensive line, the cornerback issues, the offensive line issues, Terrence Steele having to play all those games, and yet they made the most out of it. They absolutely just said the odds are stacked against us, yet we're just a better football team than you. So we're going to play better than you, and we're going to beat you down. They would beat teams down. You know, it wasn't perfect. They weren't playing 60 minutes of football, but at least 45 of those minutes, they dominated. Over the last month, other than that Atlanta Falcons game, think about it. Other than the Atlanta Falcons game, what does this offense have to show? Nothing. There was a stat that I saw, and it leads into my point about Kellen Moore, is that in the first that winning streak, and after the bye, probably after the Minnesota Vikings game, it was when it really got bad. But before the Minnesota, once they went on this like really cold streak, let's say the Denver Broncos game, before that, they had 17 3-and-outs the entire year so far. In these last 3 games, they have 18 3-and-outs. And these are drastic 3-and-outs that determine the momentum of the game. After halftime, the first possession out of halftime, you go 3-and-out. The first possession offensively, you go 3-and-out. When you finally get some momentum and your defense finally gets a stop, you go 3-and-out. How do we go from being the most explosive offense in all of football, scoring the most points per game, having the most yards per game, being the most efficient offense in the NFL, to having 18 3-and-outs in 3 games and looking like one of the worst offenses in all of football when you have everybody on the field? I get it. Amari Cooper wasn't 100%. I get that. You still had CeeDee Lamb out there. You still had Michael Gallup out there. You still had Tony Pollard out there. Ezekiel Elliott out there. And Dak Prescott, most importantly, is your quarterback. I'm gonna throw some shade at Dak Prescott. You know what? It's come down to that. Because even he's not safe. He is making really, really drastic, questionable decisions while he's in the pocket. Not all of them are his fault. And for the majority of this game against the Saints, he did play well. There were some throws where I'm like, I don't understand where you were going with that. But you know what, Dak? Everybody has some bad throws, even the best. What I have a problem with Dak is that there's no communication right now. Doesn't it feel like we're looking at this offense from the first 7 weeks, 8 weeks of the season to right now? Doesn't it feel like the communication is just completely on different it's polar opposites right now? We're on different universes when it comes to Dak and these receivers. With CeeDee Lamb, you had like that really bad throw and miscommunication on that 4th down play where he went on a wheel route up the middle, but he should have went inside instead of outside. Well, Dak's got to communicate that. Those are plays that we should see in practice and you should execute in practice. You also have some of those other CeeDee Lamb throws to where they're just disconnected. Dalton Schultz, or even when CeeDee Lamb's on at the line of scrimmage and he's waving his arms just to say, hey, give me a second, we got to communicate the play. That's on Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has to be better as a leader and as a enforcer of this offense to say, that's on me. I got to communicate that better. I got to be an overall better communicator, which I've been my entire career. It's just not working right now. And is it wrong to say that in the dome, it felt quiet? Like, I don't think crowd noise was a big issue, and there was a lot of Cowboys fans there because of the short trip. But didn't it feel like, I don't know if it was the microphones not working because the refs had the issue with the microphone, but didn't it feel like the just ambiance of the Superdome was non-existent? Like, not what we're accustomed to when you're going to the Dome? It just felt off, and I didn't feel like crowd noise was a big issue like it was in Kansas City, and yet somehow Mike McCarthy said, oh, we weren't prepared for the noise. Well, it's a road game at Arrowhead. You should have been prepared. So Dak Prescott has to be better at communicating. But overall, what I'm just despising about this offense is what Kellen Moore's doing. We've had those stints throughout seasons over the last, 3 years, let's say, where Kellen Moore looks like the greatest offensive coordinator of all time. I mean, he is getting a head coaching job for sure next year based on his coaching ability, his play calling, just what he's doing with this offense. It's absolute magic. And then he'll just go on like a 4 or 5 game streak where it's just like, what is he calling? Like, what happened? Did we bring in Scott Linehan and he just put on a Kellen Moore mask? Because that's what I'm seeing on the field. It's predictable. It's vanilla. And it just isn't working, yet they just do the same thing over and over again. It's the definition of insanity. And I think right now, in the Webster dictionary, there should be a picture of Kellen Moore next to the word insanity. Because what this man is doing to this offense is almost criminal. It's almost illegal at this point. Because not only is this a stint, but this feels like a long-term issue. And I'm not going to be overreactive here. I feel like I'm in a perfectly sound mindset and state of mind to say that if Kellen Moore keeps this up, he's not going to have a fucking job. Why should we accept all of these weapons, all of these ingredients to make this great entree? I mean, just a Gordon Ramsay type of entree. We put it all on the kitchen table. We put it out to make it. And then you just make a basic lasagna. Like, you make a basic chicken when you could have made a chicken marsala, a chicken parm, something, like a nice chicken Alfredo, and you throw some shit in there. But we're just going to settle with some grilled chicken because I like grilled chicken, and I feel like we should make grilled chicken every time. So Kellen Moore thinks that running the football up the middle for about a yard or two every single first down or every second down is going to get you a touchdown, when in reality, it's only making those third downs more and more difficult. Almost every single one of those third downs that I can see in my head was a 3rd and long. 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. It was an average of those yards. Guess what? The Cowboys, third down efficiency, 2 and 13. Go back to the Raiders game. I guarantee you it wasn't even that better. Go back to the Chiefs game. Probably the same thing. Going against the Broncos, it's probably the same thing. Don't we see a pattern here? Don't we see a collection of information? And you're supposed to be analytical. You're supposed to be young and smart. You're supposed to understand that analytics are very important to the NFL and say, why are we converting less than 20%, less than 30% of our third downs? Okay. Well, a lot of these seem to be 3rd and longs. Okay, how do we get to 3rd and long? So we don't do our job on 1st and 2nd down. What are we doing on 1st and 2nd down that's not working? How about you're running the football up the middle with 8 guys in the box on defense and you're only getting a yard? 2nd and 9 sounds pretty difficult to convert, and running it on 2nd down or a short screen pass where your blockers aren't blocking, which makes it 3rd and 7. Maybe there's a connection between all of this. When Taysom Hill, with 4 good fingers, no receivers, his best players are out, and a game plan that didn't seem to work until the 3rd quarter because the game plan should have been running the football. When they're moving the ball better than you throughout this game, and you have the same exact amount of first downs in this game, you have the same amount of passing first downs. They had more rushing first downs than you. They were better in 3rd downs than you. They had more total yards than you. They had more time of possession than you. You shouldn't be winning these football games. And you say, but we did. No. You're not going to win these football games later on because you're not going to play the Saints every week. Kellen Moore. I explained this to my girlfriend in the middle of IHOP this morning. And I put it all on the table. I said, when you have man-on-man coverage on the outside and you have 1 single high safety, that leaves 8 guys in the box. If you're an offense, where should you not go? She doesn't know anything about football. She probably doesn't care. She was clearly not a fan of me explaining this. But I got the point across. Clearly, if you have 8 guys in one general vicinity, you should not go directly at them. Why? Because you have open space on the outsides. You have the one-on-one matchups where you can either play action off of that or you can get one good block and he's out. So for the entirety of this game, let's say about 75% of this game, you run it up the middle, you only get a yard or 2. Maybe, just maybe, running a play on the outside, like a pitch, a counter, a jet sweep, an end around, which Kellen Moore has done in the past, and we have known him to do that type of creative stuff. The one time he did it, because they were desperate to make a play, he went on a pitch to the outside to the left with Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard is one of the most agile guys that the Cowboys have ever had And I mean, for sure, in the last 20 years. This guy is explosive. He's athletic, very agile, speedster. Where's he going to be best at? On the outside. If he finds the outside and he gets some room to run, the sky's the limit for this guy. Yes, he can run it up the middle. I've seen him run it up the middle and break a tackle, find the holes. He's very smart, great vision. He can find the holes. I'm not doubting his ability to run up the middle. And I'm not doubting Zeke's ability to run up the middle. But the one time you threw it to the outside and you did a pitch, you got one good block and it was a touchdown. If you're Kellen Moore, you should look yourself in the metaphorical mirror on the sideline and say, have I been doing this all wrong? If they're stacking the box on the outside and they're leaving plenty of holes on the outside because they're expecting to run up the A gap, shouldn't I go through the C or D gap? Well, gee willikers. Doesn't that make sense, Kellen? Mr. Moore? Am I right? The first play, you go to the outside with a pitch on a run, you score a touchdown. And then the next time that you run it on the outside with Zeke, an easy pickup of like 13 or 14. And yet you kept running it up the middle. And then when you throw pass plays, well, they're based on the running attack, and you're doing these play actions on a bootleg when they're not expecting the run at all because you stopped the run already. If it's second down and 9, and they said, well, we stopped them on first down on the run, so they're clearly going to do play action or a pass, and you do a play action bootleg, what? It doesn't take a genius. Like, you're playing on Madden easy mode. I could be making better calls with this offense right now. You got to understand the adaptability of this offense, that it's capable of doing things in different situations, that it doesn't need to be the same thing over and over again, and you don't have just one flavor that you got to just hone down for the rest of the game. You have to adapt. What did I say in the last review? I said that you got to control the things that you can control. You can't control every aspect of the game. You couldn't control Amari Cooper being out for those 2 weeks. You couldn't control CeeDee Lamb for being out those 2 weeks. You couldn't control Mike McCarthy being out in this game. What you can control is the things that you're good at and what you have on the field. What you have on the field is everybody you could have asked for offensively. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that the defense would give me more confidence at this point in the season than the offense, and the offense would be very concerning, I would have laughed in your face. But guess what? That's where we are right now. Dak Prescott is not playing at an MVP level, and he's barely playing at an above average level. He makes some really good throws, but just the enforcement and the leadership is not there right now. I need pissed off Dak. I need an aggressive Dak Prescott that was so fired up to get started with this season because he was out for so long, that he wanted to be there for his team, that he wants to win. Where the fuck is that Dak Prescott? Where's the Zeke? And I know he's hurt, but why is he playing in the first place? That's on the coaching staff. Why is he not running harder than he could have? And right now the excuse is that he's hurt. But over the last month or two, those yards per gain, yards per rush, and just the overall attack of this running ability is nowhere to be found. Well, no, I've always been off on Amari Cooper because of the injuries, and I think this year kind of continues that. Yeah, I appreciate Amari Cooper a lot, but for the long term, I don't think he's the right answer. CeeDee Lamb's the number one guy. It's just a matter of what you put around him. Dalton Schultz, for all the credit that I gave him last year in 2020, for him stepping up with Blake Jarwin being out, he is piss poor right now. Piss poor. I mean, he can't block, which is the one good thing that he did out of college. And he's not a threat that he once was earlier in the season. And this offensive line, even Tyron Smith's getting holding calls. and Lyle Collins doesn't look like the all-pro self. So maybe Terrence Steele is the better option. Who knows? But if I have to question that, that's my concern. I'm not going to depend on this defense. Micah Parsons, I would give the world to Micah Parsons because really without him, I don't know where this team would be. Jaron Kearse had himself a really nice day against the Saints. Trevon Diggs gets another interception. But Jaron Kearse, dear God, he deserves player of the game, ball of the game, whatever. He deserves the game ball is what I'm trying to say. Jesus Christ. My head's all over the place. Kellen Moore is going to ruin this football team. He's ruining his chances of being a head coach. 100%. The stock in Kellen Moore has gone down tremendously in the last 2 months because this is not just a little hiccup of him play calling and these terrible calls. Other than the Atlanta Falcons game where he had some fun, he's playing these games so cautiously and just timid. Timid is the right word for Kellen Moore right now. He doesn't want to make a mistake. He doesn't want to make a extravagant play call that could determine the rest of the momentum of the game. He doesn't want to just go for the big play or just dominate. He wants to methodically tear you down, but the way that you methodically tear it down is if you continuously win a battle. You're not winning battles. You're not winning the battles up front. You're not winning the battles in the backfield. You're barely winning the matchups in your receivers. Like, you got to change up what you're doing. Excuse me. The things that they did earlier in the year, truly impressive, and it was holding up against some of the best offenses in all of football. I mean, Arizona, Green Bay, the play calling was just top tier out of Kellen Moore. Right now, you're basically Scott Linehan 2.0. And I've said that before about Kellen Moore, and he's come back and said, all right, I'm going to prove you wrong. Cool, thanks. But this is no time to be doing Scott Linehan things. If you want to join Scott Linehan outside of Dallas, go right ahead because you're earning your way out. Jerry loves Kellen Moore. He's a Boise State guy, so of course he's going to have the job whenever he wants. But this is the types of things to where you need to look at your organization and say, that can't happen anymore. That's the reason we let go of Scott Linehan. And if you're going to let this happen, we're going to let you go too. Because we got plenty of guys that have learned your system up in the press box, up in the coach's box, and know the system that have worked with Dak Prescott. Hell, if some guys get fired next year, wouldn't they love to work with Dak Prescott in this offense? They would just salivate at the opportunity to work with guys like Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper in this offensive line. They would make the most out of it. They would kill to have this job. Kellen, you're not giving me any effort to show that you want this job, that you're doing everything you can to make this offense better. You're only making it worse right now. So when they go against these divisional rivals who have seen these mistakes made by Kellen Moore before, they're going to capitalize on it. I don't care how bad Washington's defense has been playing this year. They will get an advantage on the Cowboys offense if they're playing like this. The Eagles, who have a good, talented defense that have seen them before this season, they will give them a shout. They will give them a run for their money. Because I consider the Saints right up the same tier as the Philadelphia Eagles right now. They have the right around the same record. Same with the Giants. Same with the Washington football team. What's any different from these divisional rivals to the Saints? Really nothing other than less talent. But that's not going to matter when your offense in Dallas is playing like this. It's playing that bad. And I don't think anyone's talked about this, but how come when your head coach that has been with you all year long, when he's out, the defensive coordinator that has not really taken over the duties of a head coach until a few days before this game even started, disciplined your team better than Mike McCarthy did. This Cowboys team is averaging at least 8 to 9 penalties and over 100 yards in penalty yards every game. They only had 5 for 35 this game. How does that make any sense? How your replacement interim head coach for a week is doing better things in discipline than your head coaches. This doesn't make sense at all, and that's why I'm getting a little pissed off and scared. This team doesn't have the fight. It doesn't have the aggression and the physicality. Their tackling was horrible. The last touchdown the Saints had, and I get it, it was the end of the game. It really didn't matter. And it was just for betting purposes that it may affect it. It really didn't. But the fact that Trevon Diggs and Micah Parsons were surrounding Harris, they surrounded him, and they did not tackle him worth a damn or even try to. Dude, finish, please. These, like, the 4 turnovers are very deceiving, man. This score is very deceiving. It is. It really is. Because 4 turnovers doesn't show how bad this offense played and really how much chunk yardage and big plays this defense gave up. They were better on the penalties. Congratulations. You didn't do 14 penalties. But I promise you, man, that it's not going to be this luxurious when you go against better teams. You think that this team is ready for Arizona? No, absolutely not. But I'm holding on to the idea that they're still having the injury bug, and Randy Gregory will come back, Neville Gallimore will come back. These guys will stay healthy. DeMarcus Lawrence looked great in his first game back. Like Tristan Hill will come back from that suspension, but I'm really tired of Tristan Hill. I think they should get rid of him, even if his rookie deal is not close to being done. But if this offense plays like this, if they play to any other form than, let's say, the Patriots game, the Eagles game, the Giants game, if they don't play their offense like that, they are going to get smoked in the playoffs. They are going to get smoked. Like I said last week with the Raiders game, those were some weak 33 points. They did not earn 33 points. 27 points in this game, they didn't earn that shit. They earned 20. Because really, that was a great play by Carlos Watkins on that interception. Awesome for him. That was a big play. And if it came earlier in the game, I think things would have been different for the momentum. But after that, what does this offense have to show? Really? What does it have to show other than getting bailed out by a terrible Saints offense and a shit show of a game? They wasted so many opportunities. They gave up so many opportunities. This is a bad football team right now. And it's hard to watch. It's bad to watch. I don't want to watch this team. I get frustrated and get mad, and I get to the point where I don't want to watch this team because I know what they can be. I know the potential of this team because I saw it for 7 games. Or 8 games if you count the Bucs game. But consistently, I'm still seeing Anthony Brown get beat. I'm still seeing this offensive line get manhandled, even with Tyron Smith and Lyle Collins on the field. I'm seeing this running game be absolutely useless and negligent and borderline like a liability. I'm seeing an offensive coordinator that's a liability right now. I see Dak trying to do his best with what he's got, but this kill, run on first down and getting a yard isn't going to fly against top-tier defenses like Arizona, like Green Bay, like if you get to the Super Bowl, like the Patriots. You think if you played the Patriots right now, you think that it would be the same result as it was weeks prior? Hell no. The Patriots would beat the shit out of the Cowboys right now. They would. This Cowboys team is crap right now, but that doesn't mean that they can be crap for the future. And much like myself right now, I am a mess with like these allergies or whatever's going on because this room is, Jesus Christ, is killing me. But tomorrow I'll wake up and I'll be fine. So maybe, just maybe, that'll be the case for the Cowboys. Washington. I mean, it'll be a long time before we do the preview for that one. Sorry there was no preview for this one. I really hate doing Thursday night games. And it feels weird to do a Friday night review. Anyways, I think that'll do it for this episode of the Bubba Lutz Sports Podcast, because there's really not much to talk about after that. I think I got through everything. So thank you so much for listening to episode 259 of the Bubba Lutz Sports Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this. Plenty of more content to come out over the next few days, over the next few weeks. Kevin is finishing up school, so he'll be here for a lot of the future episodes leading into the playoffs and in the playoffs. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Plenty of ideas I got in my head that I'll think or try to do over the next couple days and next couple of weeks. Starting the new job on Monday, so hopefully the schedule isn't affected, but I'll try my best. You know that this year has been the most consistent that we've been ever. And numbers, views, listens, everything has been better than it's ever been. And I can't be more appreciative and more thankful for all the support over the last few months. Thank you so much, guys, for listening, for watching. Follow on all platforms, wherever you watch this, wherever you get this podcast from. And we'll see you next time on the Bubba Lutz Sports Podcast.
Yeah, hold on. Tell me who's your top 5 quarterbacks right now, dead or alive.